How can you reduce your risk of going back to the hospital? This video is specifically for my patients that have heart failure. If you have heart failure and you've ended up in the hospital, you do not want to go back because it's, first of all, not comfortable. It's not home. And being in the hospital has its challenges beyond being in a place that's not familiar. You're given a lot of medications, you see a lot of strange faces, the list goes on and on. But we do find, unfortunately, with many of our patients with chronic conditions, especially heart failure, there's a high risk of ending back up in the hospital. You do have a small role to play in that, though it is a small role, it is significant. So for my heart failure patients, these are 3 things I tell them to help reduce the risk of ending up in the hospital. Number 1, watch how much fluid you are drinking. We as physicians sometimes forget to tell our heart failure patients this, but yes, you need to monitor the amount of fluids that you're drinking and try to avoid drinking more than 2 liters or 67 ounces. This can be quite challenging when it's hot. Number 2, watch your salt intake. Try and consume less than 2 grams of sodium per day. We often find with our patients that have heart failure, if they end up eating food that somebody else has cooked, it's around the holidays, and they're eating, say, something like salted ham or steak, or they went out to a restaurant and a lot of salt is put on their food, then they end up drinking more fluid, they retain the fluid, and it becomes a vicious cycle and they end up in the hospital because they have too much fluid on their body. Number 3 is watch your weight. What I mean by watching your weight is if you have heart failure, you should know what your so-called dry weight is, or your weight is when your fluid is at a good balance or on the lower side. If you weigh yourself daily and you notice suddenly overnight you put on 5 kilograms and you're feeling like your fingers are puffy, your face is puffy, you're short of breath, your legs are puffy, call your doctor, talk to them and see if they have any recommendations as to what you can do with your medications to adjust your fluid balance so you don't have to go back to the hospital. In many cases, your doctor might even ask you to come into the office so that they can see you and adjust your medications so you don't have to go to the hospital. I hope you found that useful and informative. Bye-bye for now.